Welcome to Monster Machines, your home for heavy machines, smart tech, and heavy industry content. Today, we're trying to keep the machines out of harm's way as we dive into the world of demolition and explore what a successful demolition should look like, but more importantly, what it looks like when things go wrong. Our first stop takes us to Vordenborg, Denmark, where a 53-meter tall silo decided it wasn't quite ready to say goodbye. In 2018, demolition experts were tasked with bringing down this concrete giant. They used a combination of shaped charges and linear cutting charges, typically costing around $5,000 to $10,000 for a building of this size. These explosives are precision tools, designed to slice through steel and concrete like a hot knife through butter. The plan was simple. Strategically placed explosives would cause the silo to collapse inward, creating a neat pile of rubble. But this silo had other ideas. As the charges detonated, onlookers watched in horror as the structure toppled sideways instead of imploding. The silo crashed into the adjacent library and cultural center, causing significant damage to administrative offices. The library contained over 100,000 books and historical documents. Thankfully, most of the collection was unharmed, but the incident gave new meaning to the phrase earth-shattering literature. The culprit? Explosives that were improperly set. This mishap serves as a stark reminder that even with advanced technology, human error can lead to monumental mistakes. Next, we're heading to Springfield, Ohio, where a 2010 demolition went spectacularly wrong. The target was a funnel building at a local power plant. Demolition crews used a mix of explosives and hydraulic excavators for this job. These excavators, like the Caterpillar 349F, can cost upwards of $500,000 and weigh over 50 tons. They're equipped with specialized attachments for demolition work, capable of reaching heights of up to 72 feet. But this time, as the charges were detonated, the structure did not play along. Instead of falling into the cleared safety zone, it toppled in the exact opposite direction. The result? A whopping $14 million in damages, 4,000 homes left without power, and a set of very inconvenienced train tracks. The power plant was built in the 1920s and had been a landmark in Springfield for nearly a century. Its unexpected final act certainly ensured it went out with a memorable bang. If you're enjoying this video so far, please like and share it and click subscribe for tons more epic content. Next up in 2020, St. Petersburg, Russia saw a demolition go wrong before it even began. The St. Petersburg sports complex was being prepped for demolition to make way for the world's largest ice arena. Workers were using concrete saws and jackhammers to make precision cuts around the stadium, a common practice to help control the building's fall during demolition. These concrete saws, like the Husqvarna K970, can cut up to 15 inches deep and cost around $2,000 each. They're essential tools in controlled demolition, allowing for precise weakening of structures. However, the workers may have been a bit too enthusiastic. As they were removing connections between the walls and roof, the entire structure suddenly collapsed. Tragically, one worker lost their life, and several others were injured. The sports complex had hosted numerous high-profile events, including concerts by the Rolling Stones and Madonna. Its premature collapse was a sad and somber end to a venue that had seen so much positive excitement over its lifespan. Our next stop takes us to Turkey, where a flour factory decided to go for a little roll. This nearly century-old factory, built in 1928, presented a unique challenge to demolition experts. With no original construction records available, they had to make educated guesses about the building's structure. Typically, demolition teams would use ground-penetrating radar systems to map out a building's internal structure. These high-tech devices can cost upwards of $20,000, but are invaluable for planning safe demolitions. When the explosives were detonated, instead of falling straight down, the factory rolled onto its side, picked up momentum, and ended up on its roof. The factory's unexpected gymnastics routine actually showcased the impressive construction techniques of the 1920s. I guess they just don't build them like they used to. Our next demolition disaster takes us down under to Canberra, Australia, where the Royal Canberra Hospital demolition in 1997 turned tragic. The plan was to implode the building to make way for a new museum. Demolition experts used a technique called building implosion, which typically involves strategically placed explosives to make a building collapse inward. For a building of this size, around 500 to 1,000 pounds of explosives would be used, costing anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000. The charges are usually placed by highly trained experts using specialized drilling equipment and detonators. However, something went terribly wrong. The explosion was far more powerful than intended, sending debris flying up to 500 meters from the site. Tragically, a young girl lost her life and many others were injured. This incident led to significant changes in demolition regulations in Australia. Today, explosive demolitions in populated areas are much rarer and subject to far stricter safety protocols. If you're still watching, you should definitely be a subscriber, so click that button, give us a like, and keep watching because you're about to see some more truly epic demo errors. Let's get back into it. Our next stop is Pell City, Alabama, where a DIY demolition nearly ended in disaster. The Avondale Mills smokestack was being brought down by a small crew using unconventional methods. Instead of explosives, they used an excavator to chip away at the foundation. The excavator, likely a model like the Komatsu PC210LC, weighs about 20 tons and can cost around $200,000. It's a versatile machine, but not typically used for bringing down large structures like smokestacks. As the smokestack began to fall, it suddenly changed direction, heading straight for the excavator operator. In a heart-stopping moment, the operator barely escaped as tons of bricks came crashing down. Now that's a bad day at work. Smokestacks like this one were once common sights in industrial areas. The tallest freestanding brick chimney ever built was the Anaconda Smelter Stack in Montana, standing at a whopping 585 feet tall. Next, we're jetting off to Prostějov in the Czech Republic, where a textile factory demolition turned into a game of dodge the debris. The demolition seemed to be going smoothly at first. Explosives had been carefully placed by experts using tools like the Hilti TE1000 AVR breaker, a $2,000 piece of equipment designed for precision concrete breaking. However, as the building fell, a massive dust cloud formed and a large piece of debris came hurtling towards the spectators. One quick-thinking onlooker managed to dodge the projectile at the last second, narrowly avoiding a tragic outcome. The dust created during building demolitions can be extremely hazardous. It often contains silica, which can cause serious lung diseases. That's why demolition workers wear specialized respirators that can cost up to $1,000 each. Our penultimate stop takes us to China, where a 20-story apartment building decided it was only halfway ready to come down. The demolition team faced a significant challenge with this project. They decided to split the building in half and bring it down in two sections. This technique, known as segmented demolition, requires precise calculations and specialized equipment. They likely use shaped charges, which can cost up to $100 per pound, strategically placed to control the building's fall. However, of course, things didn't go according to plan. The first half of the building collapsed at the base but fell sideways instead of straight down, causing damage to the surrounding buildings and vehicles. The other half stubbornly refused to budge, leaving workers with the precarious task of demolishing a partially collapsed high-rise. Before we reach our last massive mishap, here's a little demolition trivia for you. The tallest building ever demolished was the 47-story Singer Building in New York City in 1968. It held this record until the World Trade Center's tragic and unplanned destruction in 2001. So our final stop brings us to South Dakota, where a feed mill proved tougher than anyone expected. The demolition team had plastered a large boom banner on the building, anticipating a spectacular show. They used a combination of explosives and wrecking balls for this job. A typical wrecking ball weighs between 1,000 to 12,000 pounds and can cost up to $30,000. When the explosives were detonated, the foundation crumbled as planned. However, the building only sank a few feet before stubbornly staying intact. This partial collapse created a dangerous situation, requiring careful planning for a second attempt. As a side note, the world's largest wrecking ball, weighing in at 12,000 pounds, is owned by a demolition company in Michigan. That's about the weight of a double-decker London bus. Damn! And there you have it. Next time you see a building being brought down, spare a thought for the complex planning, specialized equipment, and brave workers that make it happen, usually without a hitch. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're still watching by now, you have to subscribe. That's the law. Click here for more videos right now, and we'll see you in the next one.